So this week in sports, there's obviously the MLB race. The wildcard races are in full swing. We had a trade deadline recently. We'll talk about some of those trades in a minute. And then football is in full force now. In a sense of, teams are practicing. Teams are you know, really getting ready. We're starting to see some injuries occur. Some suspensions to take note of. Fantasy wise, and then we'll talk about the MLB. Kind of a little brush back on the MLB uh, in a bit. But talking about NFL and talking about let's talk about NFL. Tannehill's injury. Obviously, they've signed Jay Cutler now, so obviously that's a pretty serious injury. They don't look like that they think that they will have Tannehill for at least the first part of the season. Now, there's a lot of Tannehill haters, but he really hasn't been that bad in the time period that he's been at um, Miami. He started off as a wide receiver at A&M, and now he is a NFL quarterback. So a pretty big transformation for me. And he was kind of thrust onto the scene. You talk about someone like Blake Bortles. You talk about some of these other guys that really looked promising in college. And I don't want to put Jared Goff in that category yet. He's only had 1 year to really develop. And I think I think he still has the potential to be good. I think he's in a really shitty situation. Just like if you had to play in Cleveland, it's going to be hard for you to be successful. But someone like Tannehill has actually done pretty good for Miami. They have put some pretty good weapons around them. Their defense isn't bad. But Miami is not a team that you would have expected to make the playoffs last year, go 10-6 on the year, and they did that. So a lot of even when Tannehill went down, they're talking, well, Matt Moore isn't that bad of a backup. I mean, he's a pretty good backup, but he's not Tannehill. The Tannehill injury is gonna hurt them. I don't know how ready Jay Cutler is. I feel like they tried to make it look like he had a pretty good day the other day. But I mean, I think when he gets to the NFL action again, we'll really see what he is made of. But in other news, uh, Deion Buchanan has been dealing with an ankle injury. He should be ready for the opener, though. Obviously the Zeke suspension. We don't know if he'll get suspended or not. I don't really know how true those rumors are that he'll get suspended or whatnot. I'm not really gonna look into it. Andrew Luck is still recovering. I think he had shoulder surgery last year. He is supposed to be ready for week 1. But he's obviously won't be playing any of the preseason and stuff like that. He's not ready that way. Is Mike Williams a big wide receiver, a big guy that I was high on in the offseason? He's my top wide receiver going into the draft, I'd say. And, I thought he'd have a pretty good year this year with the receiving core that the Chargers have. And, he's dealing with a back injury, and I don't know how fast you want to rush the back injury back. I I wouldn't rush him back. So I would think fantasy wise, he's not going to have that big of a year. Um, and I would just kind of stay away from him. I think they want to be, want to not uh, rush him back too much. Another injury, Quincy Enunwa, he's out. He's one of those two starting slated receivers for the Jets. And he's out with a neck injury for the rest of the year. He had a really good fantasy year last year. Not top 25, but you could slot him in there every couple of weeks against a good matchup, and he'd get you points. So some people to take note of that they will be missing time. Some players that you might be able to pick up on these teams. Um, you know Behind them and in the or if it's like for say like the Ravens. Kenneth Dixon's going to be suspended the first four games. I think he's probably their top back though, but he'll miss the first 4 games. Those other backs will get a chance to really showcase themselves. Woodhead, I mean, Woodhead's another good back for them. But I think he'll be bigger in the passing game. But let's say he has a good first couple of weeks, and then they play him more than Dixon because of the 4-game suspension. Latroy Guion has a 4-game suspension. Um, and then uh, let's see here. Michael Floyd suspended 4 games. Jalen Marshall, a wide receiver for the Jets, he's suspended, I think, 2 games. Austin Seferian-Jenkins suspended 2 games. Doug Martin suspended 4 games. Antonio, not Antonio, Martavius Bryant, um, he's still suspended. He hadn't been reinstated yet, so let's keep watching that. Jalen Collins got the 10-game suspension. So I mean, he must have been doing something real bad if he got a 10-game suspension, or maybe this is his second offense. But to me, that's huge. Not huge. That's not like a huge piece of their defense, but that's a good piece on the defensive side of the ball for the Falcons. And for him to be out for the 10 games. And then TJ McDonald has an 8-game suspension, another huge suspension. He's actually on the Dolphins now. And 8 games was the most that I had seen before, Jalen Collins' suspension. I don't know if I said Doug Martin. Doug Martin's going to be out the first 4 games, or I think 3 games, because he did one of his games last year. But so, those are some things to take note of. There's going to continue to be injuries. There's going to continue to be people that are going to be out. The preseason games are starting. There's a lot of people trying to prove themselves in those games. And so, there'll be injuries. There'll be injuries in practice. I'll keep watching those closely. College-wise, not a whole lot. We know Levante Gonzalez from Kansas got dismissed from the team. That was their best playmaker. I mean, Kansas wasn't going to do anything this year. I think I had projected them at like 3-9. I mean, they'll probably be worse than that now. And so Terrence Williams is out indefinitely with a shoulder injury. Marcel Harris out for the year. And Terrence Williams plays for Baylor. Marcel Harris is a cornerback for Florida. I think he'll be out for the year. Nick Basquin, Achilles injury, Oklahoma wide receiver. Michael Hill has been suspended indefinitely for Ohio State. He's one of their defensive tackles. He's pretty good. Jordan Whitehead, a real good NFL prospect for Pittsburgh. He is suspended 3 games. I didn't really mention that in my preview videos, but I wanted to say that now. Trey Tipton, he is out for the year with a knee injury. He's a wide receiver for Pittsburgh also. Devontae Phillips is suspended for Florida State. He's a wide receiver. He's going to be out indefinitely. And then Caleb Woods is out indefinitely. He's not as a big of a player. He's a guy that plays at Florida Atlantic, but I think he's their top wide receiver. And he had some really good numbers last year. I think that's why I wrote him down. Biggest question mark, or guy that I'm wondering about right now, biggest news in college football for me right now is Chase Hansen. I think Chase Hansen is a really good player for Utah. I've got Utah going like 9-3. I don't think Utah's a 9-3 team though if they don't have Chase Hansen in the secondary. 6'3", big hitter, good tackler. And I think he's one of the he's one of the leaders on the defense, and I think they really do need him to be 9-3 this year. So that's someone that I'm kind of watching closely. He's out indefinitely. They're not talking a whole lot about it. I did hear though that when Utah does usually report an injury, it's usually pretty serious. They usually don't just report little injuries, day-to-day injuries. So that's something to watch. Let's see here. So let's talk about nothing's really going on with basketball. The Kyrie, stuff that came out a couple weeks ago has been the biggest thing that I can think of. And I think, Michael Beasley might have signed a 1-year deal with the Knicks, and, there's a couple, but there's not really a lot going on with basketball right now. They finally have kind of cooled off, with, I guess, football coming on. They know that they can't really compete with the football on the social media and stuff like that, because football is really the most popular sport at this day and age, I'd say. So they've kind of cooled it down with their rumors and crap like that. So I think Kyrie will be on the Cavs this next year. You know, maybe at the All-Star break, something. But uh, you know, and at the same time, I'm so mad at myself that I'm even talking about this, because this is some horseshit ass news. But anyway, so back to football for a minute though. You hadn't really got to see much about the teams. We did see the Dallas Cardinals game. I mean, it really didn't show any starters or anything like that, I would say. So, um, you know, I mean, there were starters that played, but I mean, it's more about the young guys that are fighting for a spot in the preseason. So it's kind of fun to watch as like someone who wanted to scout them and stuff like that, and see other players. So the preseason is actually very important. And obviously, I haven't really watched the preseason in the past, but I do plan on watching it this year. Um, so and I'm just really ready for the football season to start. I have made my preview videos. I've done my speculation. I mean, I think you know I'll talk more about other players doing what I think they'll like doing as far as the year goes on. Um, you know, and when the season gets closer, I'll probably talk more about week to week stuff more. And there's gonna be storylines that come out, and I'm just eager to get to them. But anyway, so let's talk about baseball. Kind of like a brush back on baseball right now. So standing wise, things have been really the same. Um, Standing wise for me, it baseball's one of those. It's like kind of like a stock. Like they don't really change that much. Some shoot up and some shoot down. Getting hot and cold, but like the good teams, they stay pretty consistent, and that's what makes them at the end of the season over 500 team, because they're consistent throughout the year. And there's a lot of teams that they've been playing good. They've been playing really good, and then they'll fall. They're gonna fall, and then they're gonna be right back out of it. Um, but when let's talk about trades first. So when I think about some of the trades that went down, obviously I think the Yu Darvish trade was probably the biggest trade that went down. To think that they have Alex Wood, Kershaw's hurt right now, but and Darvish, I think that's is huge postseason wise to have those three aces. The fact that if you pitch Kershaw the first day, he'll for sure be ready on that next day. On that as the fourth pitcher, he'll for sure be ready at that point. So those are things to me that are huge. To say that they've already got the best record in the MLB. Them and the Astros kind of had about the same record. The Astros have kind of started really hot, and they've been pretty consistently hot all year. But the Dodgers, they've been a little bit different. They started slower, but they've been like awesome as of lately. I think like 44-8 or 43-8. Over the last 52 games or so, and so they have the best record in the league right now. I remember back like about a month ago they had got like their 70th win or something like that, and they didn't get their 70th win till like August 26th last year. I mean, they're almost at their 80th win now. And they've really, when you look at the Astros and you look at the Dodgers, they've really, taken off like past them. They used to kind of have the same record. It was like Astros and Dodgers were right with each other, and now the Dodgers have kind of overtook them, and they're a good amount of games ahead of, like, as you would say, the best record in the MLB right now. And what also is surprising that the Dodgers are able to do that was the fact that how that the D-backs and the Rockies have played. The Rockies, and the D-backs, they started really hot, and if I was the Dodgers, I feel like I would be a bit kind of overwhelmed with knowing, oh, there's two teams in our division that have a lot of wins, and we're not really playing that great, but they've just been playing so good ever since Bellinger came up. Their pitching's been great. So to me, I'm a Yankees fan. I've always been a Yankees fan, and the moves that they made, or were to me they were winning moves. Todd Frazier, or yeah, I think his name's Todd Frazier. Um, good, good third baseman. I think he needed a change of scenery. And he's in a hitter's park. It'll make more home runs. Um, and maybe he'll get some confidence back. I'm not like, oh man, this guy's gonna be our star. This guy's gonna be, he's just gonna be that an everyday player. Um, and I'm also, I'm really eager with like as a Yankees fan, are we going to keep Clint Frazier up? Are we going to send him back down when Aaron Hicks comes back? And my thing is like our offense is just so suspect. The second part of the second half of the season, we have to keep Clint Frazier up there. I don't trust someone like Chase Headley, even though Chase Headley's honestly been had some big hits this year and has been pretty good. Late game hits, he's had some good hits and stuff like that. You know, I really wanted to sell Ellsbury. Nobody wants Ellsbury's contract though. But and then we got two other good pitchers. Like our bullpen is set. And then what we needed was starting pitching. We needed a starting pitcher, and so we gave up some prospects for Sonny Gray. Now Sonny Gray is not the best overall prospect, but the thing that the Yankees liked about him is the fact that they could control him for a couple of years or maybe a season after this. Um, and his first outing was not great, but it's not about right now. It's about postseason wise having someone to trust on the mound. But the thing is that always with the Yankees, it's more about their hitting. It's always going to be about their hitting. Um, it's it's not this Yankee team is going to be successful because of their offense. If Judge can get going. To me, they just haven't really played that great though as of lately. Um, okay, so then Yonder Alonso, he got traded. This was like after the break. He got traded for Boog Powell. Um, so he went from the Astros to the Mariners, and so the Mariners added another one. And the Mariners are right there in the race. Melky Cabrera got added to the Royals. They're right in the race. Um, those are those are two teams that are right there in the race. In the Rays uh, they added someone. I forgot who they added. Let me look here. I mean, they acquired like some pitcher. I swear they added like a pretty big name guy. It was like a couple of days before the trade deadline too. I mean, I know they traded Tim Beckham for Tobias Myers. I don't think that was the. Well, anyways, so okay, um, but I mean, those were kind of the bigger trades that happened on the trade deadline, and um, you know, I think the Red Sox got Nunez from the Giants. Filled their third base position that they've been kind of struggling at. Um, but when you look at so like when you look at standings and you look at projection wise of what teams are doing now and stuff like that. Let's talk about the AL East. Red Sox won 7 in a row. When the Red Sox had kind of gone on their slump and lost a good amount of games, the Yankees were right with them. Now the Yankees, they're 4-6 in their last 10. Um, they're their play has their play of the second half has not been like yeah, like I trust this team. We made good trades. Oh, Jaime Garcia too. We got him from the Twins. We made good trades. At the trade deadline, we made winning moves. To be successful in the postseason. But the question is, are we even going to get to the postseason? Yes, we have the best chance to get to the postseason. We have like a 75% chance to get to the postseason. We're the only team with like a little bit of a lead. We have a 2.5 game lead in the wild card. We're obtainable if the Red Sox start to fall off when we get hot. We can catch them. So as a Yankees fan, yes, we are right there. We do have a good chance. We're in a different position than we've been in the past years. In past years, we've been kind of where the Orioles are at about now. Kind of on a hot streak, kind of right there. kind of you're not going to count the Yankees out because it's the Yankees, but at the same time they really don't have that great of a chance, a less than 10% chance I'd say to get in. But this year we're the leader in it. We've got good hitters. We made the trades that we needed to make. The Rays are a team that's just creeping. The Rays are a team too that if you're gonna leave a team out in the playoffs, leave them out. No one fucking goes to their games. They're honestly a small market team. If you go to their games, you're looking at Evan Longoria. Their pitching staff's good, but they never really play good in big games. So I mean, the Rays are not even a team I really want to go watch. So F them. But anyways, the Rays, they're about 2.5 games out of behind the Yankees in the wild card. Right now, it's a 4-way or a 3-way tie for the wild card spot, the second wild card spot between the Royals, the Mariners, and the Rays. And those are really the teams that are going to be competing at the end of the year for this last wild card spot. I really do look at the Yankees as getting this top wild card spot. Even though I'm skeptical to say that, I think that they will get back on a hot streak. They did win 2 games against the Indians. I like that. Wait, I think no. Was it they played the Indians? I don't know. They might have got swept. No, they lost 2 to the Indians early and they won 2 of them late. So okay, we split with the Indians. Whatever. Orioles are kind of coming up 7-3 in the last 10 games. They got Chris Davis back. And maybe their pitching is a little bit better now than it was at the first of the year. They're terrible on the road though. That's what really kills them. They're just terrible on the road. But they've made strides. But just like the last time I made one of these videos, the what was it? The Pirates. The Pirates were hot out the All-Star break, and I was like, man, they're right there, and now they've won 3 in a row, so that's kind of helped. But like they dropped. Like as soon as I dropped that video, they started dropping, and it was like, damn, and but so and then I guess you could go ahead and say the Blue Jays are probably about out. I think they're just about too many games out at this point in the year, and they just hadn't ever got over that hump to win a good amount of games in a row. Like I said, Indians are still probably my favorite and I'd say to go to the AL. When I made one of my first original videos, obviously the Dodgers didn't have Yu Darvish yet. I think the Dodgers are definitely the favorite to win it all this year. Indians are my team to get in though as the AL champion. I really like this team. They're very balanced offensively and defensively. They really haven't got on this hot streak. I feel like they win 5 and they lose 5. And the Royals have been bad lately. 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row to the Cardinals. 50 and these are games that I really feel like are important. These games where you're playing another team that's racing for the playoffs, huge games. They're 55-57, 4 games behind the Indians. Indians are projected like a 90% chance to go ahead and win a division, even though they're only at 4 games. Obviously, just like the Red Sox, but I see the Red Sox they're just too hot. They have too many aces. Chris Sale, and then their lineup's honestly pretty solid. Twins. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Twins are out. They've won 3 in a row, but I just Twins are out to me. They didn't do enough things at the trade deadline. It's like they acquired Jaime Garcia's and then they just sold them. Like I guess they wanted some prospects from the Yankees, knowing the Yankees wanted another starting pitcher. I don't know, but they kind of sold to me. There's teams that buy and there's teams that sell at the trade deadline, and for me, the Twins sold. The Tigers, they sold. They've lost 4 in a row, and 10 games back of 500. I think they're about done. White Sox 3-7 in the last 10. Obviously they're done. They've sold. But obviously watch the White Sox in the future with all the prospects that they've gained this year. Astros 71-41 have really dealt with injuries lately with Correa, but it's crazy how every time you look up, the Astros are bringing up another prospect, and he's coming up and he's just doing monstrous things. They called up a kid the other day. He's already hit like 3 home runs. And the funny thing is they send them right back down. They let them come up and get a little bit of taste of the MLB action. They send them right back down because they're just so stacked. The Astros are going to be a team that's going to be good for years. Mark my words. 3-7 in their last 10. They haven't been good lately. But this is a team that's already in the playoffs. They're dealing with injuries. But this is the thing. I think once they get to the playoffs, they're really gonna like. They're really gonna not be. They're really not gonna like. I think they are really hot. I think they're up a lot of games. They're in a division where these teams are just battling it out, and they're just at the top, just kind of chilling. And they really haven't played that well after the All-Star break. But they have these games where they score a ton of runs, and then like you can't catch them. 167 run differential this year. It's ridiculous. Seattle, I kind of said in my video, I thought Seattle had the best chance of any of these teams in the West. I said, it was going to be Rangers, Angels, or Mariners. That one of those teams is going to, come up. And I really don't. I really, like I said in my last video, I don't think the Angels have done enough with Trout back. I don't like them that much with Trout. Like, I don't think, I mean, Trout makes a huge difference for their team, but I don't think that Trout is the difference to get them, to a wild card spot. They're right there. They're real close, I know. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Yeah, they play a little bit better, but I think the Mariners to me, they have a better offense. I think they have better pitching. I think the Mariners are just an overall better team. I'll put my money on the Mariners over the Angels. The Rangers, they've sold. They sold Darvish. They sold this year. They're done. 3-7 in their last 10. I wouldn't be surprised if the Athletics pass them soon. The Athletics got a lot of good young talent that they're finally letting come up and play. And but yeah, Mariners. The Mariners are a team that I'm watching closely. To really, I think they can steal that wild card spot. It's been so many years that the Mariners, have been building this team. They got Cano. They've got Cruz. Ben Gamel's a good outfielder. Segura's having a really good year. I'm probably forgetting some people. Seager, another good player. I know they got other good players on their team. So, but those are just some guys off top that I could think of. I like the Mariners. Paxton's a good pitcher. Felix Hernandez, he's a veteran. I don't know if you consider him an ace anymore, but he's a good pitcher. He's a guy I trust. So that's the AL and wild card wise. Uh, like I said, it's looking like the Yankees for sure as the number one wild card team. And then I really think it's gonna be the Royals or the Mariners to take that last spot. I would probably say the Royals are going to be the team that takes that spot at this point in the year. But my surprise team is the Mariners. I think the Mariners could creep up there and take that spot. Rays are just too small market. I don't think it makes any sense for them to make the playoffs. So I don't think that they will make the playoffs. Angels are their percentage chances drop off a whole lot after the Mariners. Like the Mariners are pretty close percentage wise. Kansas City has a 33% chance to make the postseason. Tampa Bay has a 32% chance. Seattle has a 26% chance, and then it goes Angels at 10%, Minnesota at 9%, Baltimore at 9%, Toronto at 7%, Texas at 4%, and Detroit, Oakland, and Chicago have no chance. So then the NL is pretty much more set than that. The only division that you really have any wonder about is the Central. It's been really the Central to me has been really compelling all year. If you've watched it, it just from the past of how the NL's been and what it is now. But let's talk about the East first. The NL East. Nationals have taken over that division. They haven't really played that great to me as of lately. But they're winning games, or they're still on top. I had said, and they're going to be right there at the end of the season. Mariners and Braves, or not Mariners, Marlins and Braves are two teams that the Braves have been playing really bad lately. The Braves were a team that went really hot into the All-Star break, and I really thought that they could probably continue to be good after the All-Star break. I had them as one of my only teams that really had a chance for a wild card, and they've kind of shown themselves out. Mets out, Phillies way out. Marlins have really played better as of lately after the All-Star break. They're really not that bad on the road, and I don't consider them for a wild card spot because of how many games up the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are. But they're a team that, I want to give them a little bit of credit because they have been playing good lately. They've been, battling out with the Nationals, also. And the AL in the NL West, we already talked a lot about the Dodgers. So, a 200 run differential this year. 8-2 in their last 10. They've probably been 8-2 in their last 10 for the last probably 10 weeks. And that's why their record is 79-33. At the first of the year, when the Diamondbacks and the Rockies were above the Dodgers, you would have never in a million years thought that the standings were going to look like this now, because the Diamondbacks and the Rockies have honestly been pretty consistent. Winning about 6-4 or 5-5. They're over like the last 10. They've been pretty consistent. They started hot, and that's what's got them this record. But they also haven't had any big blunders where their record's gone down. And it's crazy how back and forth the Diamondbacks and Rockies are, that they've both been like right there consistently. Obviously when you have three teams with this good of records in your division, the Padres and the Giants are going to suffer. They've been really bad. I'll be surprised if the Giants pass the Padres. I think that's, as a Giant, I think that's a feat that you'd want to get. You'd want to pass the Padres by the end of the year. You're 5 games back, challenge your guys, but, we'll see. And then NL Central, probably the most compelling division, just because of as of lately, the Pirates have been a wild card team. The Cardinals are always a team that's good. The Cubs are a team that won it last year. So those 3 teams have always been right there. And to think, the Cubs have had this down year. They're 5-5 in their last 10 now. The Brewers have to play the toughest schedule, and so that's why the Brewers probably won't make the postseason. The Brewers are my team, though, that I want to make the postseason. The team that they're like my NL Yankees. They're the team that I'm kind of behind this year. I kind of made a push, in one of my one of my first videos, that I really thought that they could make a push in the postseason, or to the postseason, because they really do have a pretty good lineup. And then at the same time, their pitching staff's really not that bad. They've got a good bullpen. And the wheels have not fallen off yet. We're still going. We didn't think the Cubs were going to catch us this quick, but we're only half a game out. We've lost 3 in a row to the Twins. These are games that we should win, or we should be competing better in. And I think that as the year goes on, I think we'll continue to be right here. I don't know if we'll make a wild card spot with the way that we're battling out with the Cardinals and the Pirates and the Cubs, and the fact that the Diamondbacks and the Rockies are going to continue just to be consistent. I think you play too many games against your division that you're going to catch one of them. Your best bet is to be the best team in the NL Central. And Cardinals are 6-4 in their last 10, won 4 in a row. They're on a stride. I'm not getting too excited about them. Pirates have won 3 in a row, 6-4 in their last 10. I'm not getting too excited about them, but they're 3.5 games behind the Cubs. So these are all this is a very compelling division. Most of these games matter. And to me, it's more about who wins the Central. It's more about winning the Central this year than let's play good in the Central and maybe we'll get a wild card spot if we don't win. That's kind of the mindset I've been having. As a Brewer, as if the Brewers, let's just continue to play, let's compete, and maybe we'll that as we're trying to edge each other out, we just all of a sudden catch the Rockies or the Diamondbacks and 2 of us get in. That's kind of like hoping for the best. You know what I mean? Realistically, you need to win the NL Central to get in. And the Cubs honestly look like they're probably going to win the NL Central. But to me, I want the Brewers to get in. I would really like to see a 1-game playoff between the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. I think that would be a good game. But, looking at percentage-wise for postseason, Cubs have an 88% percentage to make the postseason. Milwaukee has a 21% chance to make the postseason. They're 1.5 games behind them, and that's what the projection is. That's ridiculous to me. But that's just big market, small market. They know the Cubs are a huge market team, that it makes more sense for them to get in. They'll probably get in. Diamondbacks, I think, will probably get in. I think Rockies will probably get in as the wild card spots, unless these teams push each other. I'm going to correct myself. I said Milwaukee had a 21% chance. Milwaukee has a 6.8% chance to make the playoffs. They have the Cardinals as a 21% chance to make the playoffs, 5% for the Marlins, or not the Marlins, the Pirates. Marlins have a 2% chance. Nobody else has a chance other than them. Like I said, you got to battle it out for the NL Central. Whoever wins it, wins it. But it's looking like the Cubs are going to win. And if there was a wild card team to make it in, it'd be the Cardinals. Is what basically what the projections are saying. To me, I think that's giving a lot of like injustice to how the Brewers have played. And I feel like I'm sounding like a homer right now, even though I've never cared about the Brewers at all. It's just I know that, and I know that the projection is this way because they have like the toughest schedule remaining. I think the Cubs have the easiest the schedule remaining. But it's one of those things. It's fun just to see how it plays out. It's fun just to see if Milwaukee make strides. It's fun to see if the Cubs fall off. I think that's probably the most compelling thing in baseball right now is the NL Central. And it's been the most compelling thing in baseball for the last couple months. Just watching those four teams and how those four teams play over the last couple months of the season is going to be really who wins it. I think.